Everyone, and welcome. Is my mic on the right?
Yes, you're on.
Great. Let's call to order this hearing of the Assessment Appeals Board for August 8th, 2016, and we'll start with a roll call.
Board Member Crow.
Present.
Board Member Curtis.
Present.
Board Member Stern.
Present.
Thank you.
And now I'll ask that you all please stand for the flag salute. And if you intend to provide testimony today, please remain standing and we'll get you sworn in right afterward. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now please.
Go ahead. Our clerk, Mr. Vlahakis, will swear you in if you intend to provide testimony.
All right, so anyone that's going to be addressing the board this morning needs to stand up, please. All right, please raise your right arm. When I complete reading your oath, please state I do. You solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give and the matters now pending before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Great. Next on the agenda, we for this year, we've the election of chair and vice chair of the board have been separated from the annual meeting, so we'll go through that process next. So we'll open for any. We'll start with. Would you like us to do one motion or two?
I believe we need a nomination or motion for each position separately. So if someone wants to nominate or make a motion to appoint a chair, I think that would be what we normally do.
So we'll start with the chair.
So I'll make a nomination to nominate Barton Stern as chair for Assessment Appeals Board number 1.
I second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Curtis and Mr. Crow. Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow. And I will vote against. No, just kidding. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And now for vice chair.
I nominate Vince Curtis to serve as the vice chair for the coming appeals year.
Okay, I will second the motion. And hearing no objections from Mr. Curtis.
No, not yet.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Item 5 on the agenda is the administration of oath. I assume that's related to our last agenda item?
Yes. Item 6 is taken care of. You're free to go on to item 5 is taken care of. You're free to go on to item 6.
Okay, agenda review. And for those in the audience, this is a time where we can take action all at once on several items. And so I'll ask Mr. Vlahakis to let us know about that.
All right. It's going to be a little long today because I went on vacation last week and put out the agenda a week early, so we had lots of changes. Item number 6, agenda review for August 8th, 2016. The clerk of the board recommends approval of the agenda review by the Assessment Appeals Board. The agenda review consists of the following agenda items. Item number 17, application number 15-10089. Applicant Michael L. and Barbara S. Malmut, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 18, application number 15-10098, applicant Howard B. and Sharon S. Haynes, Jr., removed from the agenda due to submission of withdrawal. Item number 19, application number 15-10104, James R. and Gail M. Feinstein, removed from the agenda due to submission of withdrawal. Item number 20, application number 15-10113, applicant Skilbeck Family Trust, William Skilbeck, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 21, application number 15-10139, applicant Exayang and Minua Shen, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 22, application number 15-10152, applicant Jeffrey G. and Philippa R. Eighth Family Trust, continued to October 10th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 23, application number 15-10186, applicant Charles B. and Esther Sullivan, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 24, application number 15-10192, applicant R. Craig and Andrea J. Foster, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 25, application number 15-10208, applicant Norman L. and Marina A. Jones, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 26, application number 15-10209, applicant Elizabeth A. Stevens Trust, Elizabeth Stevens, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 27, application number 1510222, applicant Thomas E. and Patricia A. Sherry, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 28 through 32, application number 1510223 through 1510227, applicant Le Marchand LLC, Ellsford Corp., removed from the agenda due to submission of withdrawal. Item number 33, application number 1510235, applicant Patrick and Jennifer Pena, removed from the agenda submission of withdrawal. Item number 35, application number 1510326, applicant Candace Frischner, removed from the agenda due to submission of withdrawal. Item number 36, application number 1510409, applicant Brian J. and Denise M. Farrell Trust, Brian Farrell, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 37, application number 1510410, applicant Ronald and Lisa Selmer Trust, removed from the agenda due to the submission of withdrawal. Item number 38, application number 1510413, applicant Paul, I'll spell the last name Erskine, and Georgina Trust 1, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 40, application number 1510435, applicant ZS Associates Inc., Carson Hardy, continued to October 10th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 41, application number 1510448, applicant MR Nadig, continued to October 10th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 42 through 43, application numbers 1510540 and 1510541, applicant Ojai Citrus Partners LLC, Jenny Conroe, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 45 through 46, application numbers 1510723 and 1510724, applicant Casey Propco LLC, care of KLC, Bethany Sebasta, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 47 through 49, application numbers 1510725 through 1510727, Horwich Kindercare, care of KLC, Bethany Sebasta, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. Item number 51, application number 1510743, applicant Jeffrey and Sophia D. Domenico, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 52, application number 1510764, applicant Wendell Harden, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 56, application number 1510817, applicant David Yavano, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 61, application number 1510896, applicant Greg Mazza, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 63, application number 1510918, applicant Rudy Campos, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 67, application number 1510943, applicant Napoleon Ramos, continued to October 10th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 68, application number 1510992, applicant John F. and Lisa M. Eleno, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 70, application number 1510997, applicant Linda Chen, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 71, application number 1511001, applicant Siri Roshan, denied due to lack of appearance. And item number 74, application number 1511095, applicant Wayne and Yvonne Rumbles Trust, Wayne Rumbles, removed from the agenda due to submission of a withdrawal. That completes the agenda review.
Thanks, Mr. Vlahakis. Are there any questions or comments from the board on the agenda review? Okay, hearing none, we'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis and seconded by Mr. Crowe. And
Did you ask if there's any member in the audience here
that's a good idea. Before we do finish that motion, are there any representatives of the agenda items called on the agenda review present who heard their item?
I believe everyone was checked in, and
Okay.
I got everybody removed that should have been.
Great, thanks, Mr. Crowe. So we had a motion from Mr. Curtis, second from Mr. Crowe, and motion carries. And we'll go next to public comments. Are there any public comments on items not on the agenda today? Okay, and next, board comments. Great. We'll go next then. We'll go through all the items on the agenda to determine the status of each, and then we'll come back and hear those that will be heard or that have any extended discussion today. And we'll start with item 9, application 15-10502. Applicant is Paul Porter. Looks like we have a request to vacate a denial. If you like.
Correct. This was before the board on June 27, 2016, and it was denied due for lack of appearance as part of the agenda review, so just that blanket motion. On June 27th, there had been several requests for continuance due to medical circumstances, and this was intended to be one of them. Unfortunately, I noted too many and unintentionally skipped over this one. The applicant did have a verified medical condition that they reported to the clerk in advance of the hearing, so it was denied due to my failure to report that to the board. So at this time, the clerk, due to my error, is requesting that the board vacate their denial due to lack of appearance, and then continue the valuation hearing to October 10th, 2016, which that date has been agreed upon with the applicant.
Okay, and Mr. Vlahakis, would you like that in 2 separate motions or one together?
It's the preference of the board. If the board would like to make a motion to vacate the denial and continue the hearing to October 10th, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board, comments? Okay, so we are looking for a motion to vacate the prior motion denying due to lack of appearance, and then also continuing this application to October 10th of 16.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries.
Thank you. And again, I apologize for that error.
No problem. Okay, we'll go next to items 10 through 12, applications 12-12749 through 5-1. Applicant is Lansco Properties, Inc.
And actually, Chairman Stern, this discussion, I believe, covers items 10 through 16. They're all for the same applicant, just several different years with slightly different history, but the discussion will encompass all items 10 through 16.
Okay, great. And same applicant names as well.
Correct. They're all for Lansco Properties.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Sure. Robert Slavin, attorney for the applicant.
All right, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Slavin, what's the status of the applications?
Well, there was a court judgment confirming the fact that property was held in a partnership as opposed to a tenancy in common. At this stage, the assessor has that information, and now we are at that point of trying to determine whether or not the death of Lance Smigel, okay, who owned Lansco, was a change of ownership or not. Okay, that has not been determined by the BOE. It's unclear what the issues are specifically. As far as an opinion, there's no annotations directly on point. So we're at that stage where we need to make a determination. Do we go to the Board of Equalization, get an opinion from them, which could take a year, or do we just work on the valuation end because there is a subsequent change of ownership in 2012. So this is a base year, which is important, but it's only for a stub period of time. So that's where we're at right now. Have had discussions with the assessor's office, with the mapping division, as well as the assessor's representative. And I think what we would like to do, and I don't know if this is possible or not, but I have signed a waiver to the statute of limitations, so the county is protected there. If we could get about a half a year, okay, 6 months, to try to sort this out, perhaps with an opinion from the Board of Equalization, perhaps through valuation with the assessor's office. I think if we reported back to the board in 6 months, that would at least give us enough time to give a better status. Maybe we might have things resolved by that time period. Maybe not, but at least it would keep the ball rolling. But we have made some substantial progress over here.
Okay. Thank you. And any comments from the assessor?
Yes, Chairman Stern, Travis Ekman with the assessor. The
Morning.
issue, thank you. The issue at hand here is there was a change of ownership determination made by the State Board of Equalization, not by the assessor. These are reported monthly to the assessor when legal entities undergo a change of ownership. As Mr. Slavin pointed out, there has been a recent judgment which has changed title on the property into a partnership instead of being held within a corporation. And so, in communicating with the state, the requirement that they have told us is that the applicant would be required to file an amended 100B form, and those are forms that are typically filed whenever a legal entity has undergone a change of control, and they're required to report that within 90 days. And so we believe that they need to follow up and do the amendments so that the state can either make a determination that it should still be a change of ownership or that there should be no change of ownership. So we need time, as Mr. Slavin pointed out, to have that work through the process. And unfortunately, hopefully the state will be able to get it done in a reasonable amount of time, but we want to be able to give appropriate time so we're not having to come back in front of the board to ask for another continuance.
Okay. And is there a suggested time frame in terms of a continuance?
As Mr. Slavin said, we believe 6 months would hopefully give us some time and at least give us some better perspective if there would be some additional time needed. But I believe that would be adequate for this time. So I would expect somewhere probably January or February of next year.
Okay.
As a question, I had a written request for an amendment. Is there still a request to amend the applications, or has that situation changed at this time?
We can make that request now, although it might be a moot point. So I'm just not sure if this is something we could just push off because it may be moot.
Okay.
The only advantage to requesting the amendment now is that the 45-day buffer that the assessor is entitled to would, be in effect now rather than down the line, if we want to avoid any further delays in the hearing. But it is up to you if you want to still make
I
that
certainly
request.
don't have a problem making that request.
The assessor wouldn't be opposed to make the request or later. For our determination, if the state board comes down and says that there's no change of ownership, and of course that makes this very simple here. If the board says it's change of ownership, then the assessor would need to be prepared and would be ready to go forward as long as the state gave us adequate time to notify us. So that might be the only issue. If they do notify us, a week before the hearing, we might be in that position where we would ask, because we have, of course, limited resources to put towards this. I wouldn't want to do a bunch of work for nothing. So we might be coming to the board then to ask for an additional continuance so we can prepare a case. So we wouldn't be opposed if he asked for the amendment now or asked for it later, basically.
Either way.
Okay.
I'm happy to request the amendment now, or we could wait. It's up to
Okay,
this
before we
board's
move
pleasure.
forward, are there any questions, comments from the board at this point? Okay, so in terms of the amendment, what would the proposed amendment be?
And that's one thing I'm not clear on. Were you going to request, you only need to amend one application, correct? Okay. So the request was to include a change in ownership challenge appeal, which I'll give the board, I have all the applications here. I'll pass them out. Thank you. I need a copy for myself. Sorry.
And just to, I guess, add some further clarity for the board, there has actually been another change of ownership that has occurred that has reported to us the state that happened in 2012. So that will have potential effects to the 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016 assessment rolls. And there would be potentially an escaped assessment done depending on the valuation of the property and, of course, new appeal rights for those years to also come. So I think it would be best, not only with the assessor's resources, this board's availability, as well as the client and the agent, to allow a continuance for at least 6 months to kind of get everything kind of together, and we can see if we can have a meeting in the minds or if we can all be prepared to go forward.
So maybe it's best just to continue now
Yes.
without amending and see what happens.
I think that would be
Okay.
best, and it would leave as many doors available for both parties at that time.
Okay. And it sounds like you probably
I'm in
are
agreement.
fine either way.
I'm in
Mr.
agreement
Slavin?
with that.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the board? Okay.
This is industrial property?
Yes, it is.
And Mr. Vlahakis, is there a proposed date?
Okay, so 6 months. We don't have anything in January because the county has several Monday holidays, so we just didn't schedule anything for January. The first meeting in 2017 of Assessment Appeals Board number 1 will be March 6, 2017. And the only other one between now and then would be October 10th, 2016. October 10th sounds too close, so probably the recommendation is going to be March 6, 2017.
Okay. Mr. Slavin, do you need a minute to check on that?
It's good.
Okay.
Well, the assessor has a question real quick for the clerk. Would it be potentially possible of not setting a continuation date at this time and leave it open until the beginning of the year? So then at that time, the assessor and as well as the agent could see kind of where we're at in the process with the state. And at that time, if no progress is being made, the clerk can decide just to set the hearing. Or if we say, hey, we think that the state's going to be coming back shortly, we might be able to have a better outlook of what time to set the hearing for that would work for both parties.
Would an indefinite continuance delay the action on this? Is it going to maybe sit idle longer than it would if there was a hearing scheduled?
I believe the agent as well as the assessor both want to have this completed as soon as possible. So I don't believe this is something that we'd want to delay any further than necessary.
I tend to like hearing dates that are a little bit farther out, like 6 months, because at least that keeps it on the calendar, it keeps things current, it keeps things pushing, as opposed to indefinite. I just get a little nervous with indefinite because it could drag. And not a reflection on your office, it could drag on my end as well, too. So
The assessor's not opposed. We were just offering up
Okay.
options.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions from the board at this point? We're talking about a potential March 6th, I think, continuance date.
Correct,
Unless
March
there's-
6, 2017.
Okay. So looking for a motion probably to continue to March 6th unless there's any other discussion.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis and seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. So March 6th it is.
thank you very much.
Okay. Looks like our next item should be 44, is that correct?
I show 34 as our next item.
Thank you. Okay, item 34, application 15-10324, and the applicant is Royal Wine Corp.
Good morning.
Morning. Could you please state your name for the record?
Josh Gangloff, representative for the applicant.
Okay, and can you spell your last name just so I can?
It's Gangloff.
Got it. Mr. Gagnon, thanks. And what is the status of your application today?
We're currently asking for a continuance for the application. We've been in communication with the assessor, and all the information has been sent. They just need time to reference it and look over it before making a conclusion.
Okay.
So we think maybe a month or two, and then that should be able to get settled within that time frame.
Okay. And any comments from the assessor staff?
Good morning, Board, Council. Christopher Horn for the Assessor's Office.
Morning.
We are not opposed to a continuance charge to the applicant. My last notes were that no data had been sent to date. Apparently, that's been. It was sent last week.
It was sent 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay. So yes, we need a little bit of time to review this, and pushing this off until,
October 10th, 2016 would be the recommended date. That is the next time the Assessment Appeals Board number 1 meets.
the assessor has, the appraiser assigned to it is indicating that the 10th doesn't work for him. Please give me a second. Apparently, his caseload is heavy that day. We'd like to push it off until December.
The board has the option to send the case to Assessment Appeals Board number 2, which would meet on December 12th, 2016. There's no history of this case before the board, so I don't see any problem with it being sent to Assessment Appeals Board number 2 if the board would like to do that.
Okay, are there any?
And sorry, I don't know if their meeting date would be December 12th, 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Vlahakis. Any questions, comments from the board?
Sounds good.
Okay, sorry, back to the applicant. Is December 12th an acceptable date?
Yes.
Okay. And to the assessor, December 12th sounds like is okay? Great.
It
So-
is the preferred date. Thank you.
Great, so we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
And then also for item number 59.
Okay, hold on one second.
Yes, sorry.
I'm going to say, since this is moving to another board, do we have to make a motion in that direction?
I don't believe so. It's just kind of a guideline so that the same board hears the same case each time it comes forward. But as I said, this case has no, this is the first time this particular case has been before the board. Obviously, very little information provided, so there shouldn't be any problem sending that to board number 2. No formal action to that effect is required.
Okay.
So, you made a motion to,
We had a motion from Mr. Curtis.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, great. Seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. And so that item will continue till December 12th. And did you say you have another item that you'd like to
Yes,
discuss?
for item number 59, we would like that appeal to be withdrawn, please.
Okay, item 59, application 15-10874. I'll give Mr. Vlahakis a second to
I'm good, thank you.
get to the right place. Applicant is Crockett Packaging Company, LLC. And Mr. Ganloff, again, you'd like to withdraw?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't believe any action is necessary.
That's correct.
And that is noted, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we're now at item 44. Does that sound right? Correct. Great. Okay, item 44, application 15-10582, and applicant is Ross and Sandy Duber.
This was continued from June 27th, 2016 for the submission of the original stipulation. It hadn't come in, but it did come in last week finally, and the original is part of the materials submitted to the board this morning. So the request on the agenda was to approve the facsimile stipulation. The request is now for the board to approve the original stipulation, which has been provided to you this morning.
And Mr. Vlahakis, you said it's in our packet that we received?
That is the ones I handed you this morning.
We had two. Is it inside here?
Yes. Put it in there.
I think put it in the
Okay, it says in this. It should be this first one.
Okay. And everyone, will take 1 second to review it. Sure. Okay. Are there any questions, comments from the board? Okay, so we'll look for a motion to accept the stipulation as stated.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. And we'll go next to item 50, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay, application 15-10741, applicant Anthony, John, and Sharon Ralphs.
Yes, I received an email from this applicant on July 29th that I will pass out to the board. They're requesting a continuance due to family medical issues. I'm not sure if it meets the board's good cause requirement or not, but I'll go ahead and hand out the email to the board so they can determine if it meets good cause.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there any questions or comments from the board?
Seems like good reason for me.
Okay, and so then we'll look for a motion to continue. Is there a date, Mr. Vlahakis?
I think it says in that email, I shouldn't have passed out all my copies. I believe it's December 12th.
December 12th.
12th or or October the 10th, I guess. 2 dates there.
Okay.
Sorry, let me.
Does it give both dates, or is it just request the 12th?
12th. She said preferred as December 12th.
Okay. So
Sorry. I did have trouble communicating with this applicant there in Europe, and I guess they had limited access to phone and email. But they did indicate to me that they would be requesting continuance to December 12th if the board believed they met the good cause requirements.
Okay, so unless there are any other questions or comments, we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries.
And Chairman Stern, I do see we accidentally skipped over item number 39, if you'd like to go back to that.
Thank you.
I apologize for missing that.
No, I was a little aggressive with my checking things off, I guess. Okay, item 39, application 15-10425. Applicant is Virginia Albeck.
No one has checked in for this item this morning. The clerk of the board would recommend denial due to lack of appearance unless the assessor has information to the contrary.
Okay, so we'll just double check if there's a representative of Virginia Albeck here in the room. Okay, and any info from the assessor?
The assessor had made contact with the applicant, and the applicant had indicated that they were going to withdraw this. Apparently, the paperwork never made it to the clerk of the board, so that's where the assessor stands on this.
I did try to, I believe I left the applicant 2 voicemails, and I believe they got a reminder email of this hearing. So they've been given plenty of notice to appear today, and that we didn't have paperwork closing the appeal. So the recommendation would still be to deny due to lack of appearance.
Okay, any questions, comments from the board?
No.
None.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis and seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. I think we're on item 53.
That's what I have.
Okay, good. Application 15-10804. Applicant is Manuel Altabano.
Yes, please come forward. This applicant did not timely submit confirmation of appearance nor timely request a postponement. Therefore, a continuance would be in order.
Okay, good
Yes,
morning.
sir. Good morning, sir.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Manuel Altabano.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm asking for extension because both my folks died and the paperwork got misplaced. I happen to be the executor of their will, and we're still working on that one.
Okay. Sorry to hear about your parents. Any comments from the assessor?
The applicant is here today. Obviously, he's still interested in pursuing this. The assessor has no objection to a continuance.
Okay. And let's see, sounds like the dates would
Recommended
be either
date-
October or December.
Yeah, the recommended date would be October 10th, 2016, if that is acceptable to all the parties.
October. Oh, okay.
Okay, and are there any questions, comments from the board before we do any more? And Mr. Altavano, is October 10th acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and same with the assessor?
October 10th is a fine date.
Okay, so then, unless there are any other comments, we'll look for a motion to continue to October 10th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Thanks very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. Next is item 54, application 1510812. Applicants are Stephen and Linda Rain.
Good morning. Stephen Rain.
Morning, Mr. Rain.
Linda's my wife.
Great, welcome. And what is the status of your application?
What I wanted to do, if the court, I'm an attorney. I wanted to continue this to the next continuance date, December 12th. I didn't get a chance to request a continuance prior to the 21 days because I got a court hearing scheduled for this morning closer in time than that. So if the court, I keep saying the court, I'm sorry. If you please, I would like to put it over until December 12th.
Okay, and any comments from the assessor?
Due to the applicant's schedule, we're willing to work with December 12th.
Okay. Any comments from the board, questions?
Did you want October 10th or December 12th?
December 12th, please.
Okay, and Mr. Vlahakis, that date?
That's completely fine with me. There's no history on this case. That hasn't been before the board before. So whatever the board prefers, it's fine.
We're doing a good job at giving the other board plenty of work. Okay.
Keep going.
Right. Unless that's a new trick we have. So unless there are any other questions or comments, we'll look for a continuance to December 12th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Thank you.
Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow. Motion carries, and we'll see you then. Or something. Okay, next, item 55, application 1510813. Applicants are Arthur and Cynthia Xavier Trust.
This is another no confirmation of appearance. They sent me an email this morning, though. Let me see what I did with it. Okay, I'm going to hand out the email. This is another request for continuance due to medical circumstances. So it'll be up to the board if it meets good cause. And they luckily got back to me fairly quickly this morning, and they're requesting December 12th, 2016 as the new date of hearing if the board believes they meet the good cause requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments, questions from the board?
Like the other case, I think it sounds like a reasonable request with the illness issue.
Okay, so unless...
I also.
Sorry.
Fine.
Okay, so we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. And I believe we're on to item 57.
Yes, a stipulation. This is part of the 4 stipulations that were submitted to you this morning for review. So the recommended action would be to approve the original stipulation if the board agrees with it.
say you have a stipulation?
Sorry, before, when the agenda was prepared, we only had a copy of it, but the original was received, which was submitted to the clerk on Friday and provided to the board this morning. So the original should be with that paperclip group I handed out this morning.
Here's a copy. We'll review it for just a second.
Looks good.
Oh, got it. Okay, great. And any comments from the board? Okay, so we'll look for a motion to approve the stipulation, and this is again for item 57.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. Next is item 58, application 15-10866, applicant S&S Portable Services, Inc.
Same situation. When the agenda was prepared, we only had a copy of the stipulation, but an original was submitted to the clerk's office on Friday and was provided to the board this morning. So the recommended action would be to approve the stipulation so that we can get the refund to the taxpayer as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, any questions, comments from the board? Okay, so we'll look for a motion to continue, not continue, excuse me, to accept the stipulation for item 58.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. And next is item 64, I believe.
I show item number 60 as the next item.
You're right. Okay, application 15-10880, applicant is Kim Marie Croft.
I believe this is going to be a verbal request for an amendment, so I'm going to hand out copies of the application to the board.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Kim Murray Croft.
Morning, Ms. Croft, and it sounds like there might be a request for a continuance.
Yeah, I'm requesting an amendment to my original application
amendment.
because I wanted to apply for my base year on my property taxes, and I inadvertently filled out the application to the current year. So I'm
Okay.
requesting an amendment.
Okay, and any comments from the assessor?
Again, Christopher Horn for the Assessor's Office. We have no objection to the applicant amending her application. There's been ongoing conversations between her and the assigned appraiser, and it was determined that there was a timing issue. When she filed the original application, it was before her supplemental notice for the transfer arrived. So she thought that her application was all-encompassing. And just due to, again, timing issues with paperwork that she received, we feel it's fair that the amendment should be allowed. Also, if we'll trail this, we also believe that a stipulation will be in order as well. So if we can amend it, keep the item open, and then trail it, we'll have paperwork for the board.
Okay, and so for clarification, looking for amendment from a Prop 8 decline value to a base year?
Yes, and the applicant doesn't have to unselect, so it's the back page of the application in Section 6, reason for filing an appeal. Selection number A, decline value, can be left alone. They do have the right to challenge multiple issues in Section 6. But I believe the applicant is challenging the assessment assigned to her purchase of the property. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
So that would be B2,
Yep.
which is base year value for the change in ownership established on the date of. And can you please provide the date that you closed escrow?
Yeah, I think it was March 3rd, I'm sorry, March 11th, 2014.
14. So the amendment would be to select B2 and on the blank line fill in 3/11/2014 to challenge that change in ownership assessment.
Correct.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the board?
So just in disclosure, I know Kim. Hi, Kim.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So
so.
no comments.
Great, so just, we'll clarify that with the assessor that, ask if there are any questions or comments regarding Mr. Curtis's statement just now.
No.
Okay. And so then we'll, unless there are any other questions, we'll look for a motion to amend by checking box B2 and then adding the explanation as noted by Mr. Vlahakis. So looking for a motion to that effect.
Not sure what,
Or questions.
yeah, what we're going to be doing with this case. Are we continuing or?
It sounds like if the board approves the amendment, the assessor wants a minute to discuss with the applicant before. So once the board approves the amendment, I think they're asking us to come back to it in a few minutes, possibly after we go through the run through of the agenda.
So moved to accept the amendment.
Okay.
And second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, moved by Mr. Crowe, seconded by Mr. Curtis. Motion carries. And Mr. Vlahakis, you have what you need for the motion?
Yes, I just want to, Mr. Curtis is making the second and not abstaining from the motion, correct?
If you prefer to abstain, I can second it. It's up to you.
I'll abstain since I know Kim.
Okay, so I'll second the motion.
Okay.
So motion made by Mr. Crowe and seconded by me, and motion carries with Mr. Curtis's abstention.
All right, yes. So the amendment's been approved, and then we can come back to this in a few minutes as requested.
Okay, so then we'll trail this item for further action at the end of the agenda, and this was item 60.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm pretty sure we're now at item 64, but I'll just let you.
62 was removed from the agenda review. I skipped over that one, and it should have been crossed out. So apologize if I know I didn't draw a very good red line through that, but we would be at item number 62.
Okay, 62. Application 15-10914. Applicant is Grant Kemp.
Good morning, Chairman Stern. I'm Grant Kemp.
Morning.
Mr. Curtis, Mr. Crowe, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Kemp, what is the status of your application?
I was asking for a continuance till to December 12th, please.
Okay, and any questions, comments from the assessor?
Due to the applicant not returning confirmation of appearance, we wouldn't have been prepared to move forward today. We have no objection to December 12th, and once everything is said and done, if he will talk to Mr. Denham in the back, because he is the appraiser assigned to your appeal. Blue shirt.
Mr. Denham. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the December 12th date, was that, did you request that, Mr. Kemp?
Yes,
or is
please.
that- Oh, you did, okay. I want to be careful before we send too many items to the other board.
I think it's fine.
Any questions, comments from the board?
We'll be sending it back to you for the March
Okay.
hearing.
So without any other comments, we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crowe. Motion carries, and we'll continue to December 12th. Okay, Mr. Vlahakis, I think we're at item 64 now.
That's right.
Okay. Eventually, I'm going to be right. Okay, item 64, application 15-10920. Applicant is Andrea Thompson.
My name is Greg White. I'm the I'm the husband of Andrea Thompson.
Morning, Mr. White.
Good morning.
And what's the status of your application?
I'm requesting a continuance. I believe the assessor's office has finally received our complete appeal, and I think they need additional time to review it.
Okay. Any comments from the assessor?
The assessor received comparables from the applicant on, I believe it was Friday. It was either late Thursday, Friday. We still need time to vet these comparables, and also if this were to go forward, then we would request a site check as well.
Okay. And of the dates that we've talked about this morning, is October 10th or December 12th?
I believe October 10th would be fine with us.
Okay.
Okay.
And with the assessor also?
The assessor has no problem with October 10th.
Okay. And any questions or comments from the board?
I had a question of clarification. Was the assessor requesting that the board make the site inspection a condition of the continuance with a certain deadline, or is that just a statement?
That would be what we would prefer, that if there is no resolution, that we get a site inspection at least 2 weeks prior to the proposed hearing date.
Okay. And Mr. White, is that acceptable to the applicant?
That's acceptable.
Okay.
What type of property is this?
Residential.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? So I believe we're looking for a motion to continue to October 10th with the provision that a site inspection be agreed and completed 2 weeks or more before the continuance date.
Just real quick, why are you asking for a site inspection?
Due to the house's location, it's in Lake Sherwood. It's on the lake. There have been some questions that have been, or concerns brought by the applicant regarding views and what have you. So this is the reason we want clarity before we step in front of the board.
Sure. Okay. So moved on the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is item 65, application 15-10929. Applicant is Winston Wright.
No confirmation of appearance was timely submitted on this case, therefore a continuance would be in order.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Winston Wright.
Good morning. And in terms of your application, are you looking to continue or?
Yes, I'm looking for continuance to December, please.
Okay. And any comments from the assessor?
The assessor doesn't object to this being continued to December 12th.
Okay. And Mr. Vlahakis, December agenda still okay?
I believe so. We haven't.
Is October 10th an option?
It's an option. I just don't know my calendar with the kids, so it's partially.
But you're sure December will work?
Yes, December would work.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the board? Okay, since December was the requested date, we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Motion carries. And we'll move next to item 66, application 15-10932. Applicant is Brian Perry.
Yes, this was, when the agenda was prepared, we only had a copy of the stipulation. An original was submitted with the boards, to the board this morning, so the recommended action is to approve the stipulation if the board agrees with it.
Okay. And we'll circulate the stipulation. questions, comments from the board? Okay, so look for a motion to approve the stipulation for item 66.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. And I believe 69 is our next agenda item, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, application 1510993. Applicant is Center for Women's Wellbeing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Karen Birch. I'm representing Dr. Gear.
Good morning, Ms. Birch. And what's the status of your application?
We have submitted all the documents needed to make a decision to the assessor's office, and we're just waiting for them to make a decision. And
Okay.
Doctor wanted it continued to December 12th, as she will be out of town today and the 10th of October, if that's possible. Is it my understanding, though, if we clear it up with the assessor's office, that we won't need to appear? Is that?
That's,
okay.
yeah, that's certainly
Okay,
possible.
but we have to put it on calendar just in case it doesn't.
Correct.
Okay, that's what we'd like to do.
Okay, any comments from the assessor?
We have no objection to December 12th. It's my understanding that we have received the documentation. It's being reviewed, and we look to resolve this before that calendar day.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'll just note for the record that there was no confirmation of appearance for this case timely submitted. Therefore, the assessor was excused from being prepared for hearing today. So,
Absolutely, we were late.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the board? Okay, we'll look for a motion to continue to December 12th.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Thank you.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, I believe, is item 72.
correct.
And application 1511003, applicant is California Ventura Investment LLC.
This is a request for approval of a large reduction stipulation agreement. This was emailed to the board last Thursday. As it is a reduction over $5 million, the board is required to review that as part of the regular agenda. The board is free to ask any questions about the stipulation from the assessor if they would like to.
Okay, so I believe we all received it via email. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
This is the one involving the mushroom farm.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And sorry, I'd like to correct my statement for the record. This was not provided last Thursday. It was provided the Thursday before last, so not last Thursday.
Thank you. Okay, hearing no comments, I'll ask for approval of the stipulation as agreed.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. Next is item 73, application 1511008. Applicant is Ahmad Shams and Victoria E. Trust.
This case originally had no professional tax representative, and the agent was added, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And I was made them aware that this case did not timely have confirmation of appearance submitted, and that they would need to request continuance. They were also emailed a reminder of today's hearing, so I'm not sure why they aren't present today. But unless there's other information, the recommendation would be to deny due to lack of appearance.
Okay, any information or comments from the assessor?
Much like what the clerk of the board indicated, there was no confirmation of appearance. There's been no contact made by the now assigned agent, and all the other appeals handled by this agent were withdrawn prior to this hearing. So our indication is they lost interest with this, and we concur that it should be denied for lack of appearance.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Horn. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. So then we'll look for a motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis and seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries. That takes us next to our stipulations, and I believe all of the stipulations, items 76 through 110, were sent via email to the board. Is that correct, Mr. Vlahakis?
Yes, I emailed those 2 Thursdays ago to the board.
Great. And are there any questions or comments from the board?
I had one of the stipulations that I was noticing that I think was application number 15-10022 for the his business personal property. The value has dropped from 60,000 to 500 to 0. Maybe a little explanation what that was all about.
Okay, so, and that, thank you, Mr. Crow. That applicant is Airfast Technologies. And I'll look for that stipulation.
Yeah, but I believe there is an explanation in the stip if we would prefer to just read that for the record.
So I do have the original here, if anyone would like to review it.
Good morning, Chair. Board, Efrain Ascora with the Aceros office. Yes, what happened is that the applicant was a non-filer. Okay, so our office sent a business property statement timely, was never returned. So as required by our office, we made an estimate of the personal property section made an estimate based on the size of the building. And once I was able to clarify with the applicant, that he was only using one small portion of the whole building, and the rest belonged to a different entity. That's why values dropped significantly. Okay, he pretty much didn't own the equipment; it was owned by a different entity who had timely reported that equipment.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? Okay, so we'll look for a motion to accept item 75, which is stipulations, items 76 through 110.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Curtis and seconded by Mr. Crow, and motion carries.
And before you adjourn, we do have that one item that we trailed.
We still have item number 60, but Mr. Curtis has a comment.
I have a question to the clerk of the board. As far as remind me, as far as board number 1 and 2, does the clerk currently have it set up where one board is more is set up to hear more residential versus non-residential, and how is that? I know that you guys were in discussion at one time, or is it now just whoever can see it can see it? Just curious.
Is my understanding that technically we're not allowed to send certain types of cases to one board versus the other, but we do try to weight the hearings so that Appeals Board number 1 would receive more non-residential and Appeals Board number 2 would receive more residential cases. The filings, I'm not exactly sure the numbers right now. I think there's so many residential that it's impossible to give them all to Appeals Board number 2.
Sure.
So we trickle some in. Appeals Board number 2 definitely has more residential cases than Appeals Board number 1 would have, though. So in general, both boards have some type of mixture, but Board 1 would have more weight of giving non-residential cases.
Sure. Just from what we've seen today, we don't want to overload our poor Board number 2 with so many cases that...
Right. We're definitely mindful of trying to balance the scheduling. Honestly, I thought today was going to be a long hearing, and they just keep getting resolved. The assessor's office is being so efficient. So it's really hard to estimate what the board's caseload is going to be. Every time I think it's going to be really long, and then there can just be one case that pops up that takes half the day, and
Sure.
it's kind of impossible to figure that perfect balance out.
Okay.
But as far as December 12th goes, almost all of the 2015 applications have been scheduled, and December 12th we've reserved for big groups of applications, such as I think like subdivisions and some other properties where they may have filed 50 applications. It's one economic unit, so it's going to look like we're going to have a lot scheduled for December 12th, but in reality it's going to be a lot less cases than it actually looks like. And then a lot of those, once they get their initial schedulings, will probably be postponed to later dates. So as far as December 12th specifically goes, at this point, I'm not worried about it being overloaded. I think we have it pretty well balanced.
All right, I was just curious as far as your thinking, as philosophy and weighting non-commercial, non-residential and residential.
Right. We definitely keep that in mind. We do the best we can. If we completely did all residential to Appeals Board 1, your hearings may only always be 5 minutes. So we got to we're trying our best to keep it balanced, though.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Vlahakis. Let's go back to item 60, application 15-10880, and see if we have any new news.
Review procedure.
We got an original STIP. Okay. Let's see. Technically, let me check this against my records and make sure it actually has the application here. Make sure it's verified, and then I'll provide it to County Council for a quick review. All right, this stipulation does appear to be what was asked for on the application, so I'll go ahead and provide it to council for the board for review. And of course, if the board does not want to approve this today, the board can always continue it pending stipulation review, and we could approve it at a later date. The clerk would just recommend approving today, as it results in getting the case closed and the applicant the refund faster. But if the board doesn't want to rush into it, you're free to continue the case.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. And I'll pass this around. Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board?
Again, I'll go ahead and abstain since I know Ken.
Okay.
Motion to approve the stipulation as presented by the board, by the assessor.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Curtis. I will second the motion.
Crow.
Pardon? Sorry? Did I say wrong? Sorry. Moved by Mr. Crow. I only have so many choices. Apparently, I still can't say the right thing. Moved by Mr. Crow. I will second the motion, and I believe Mr. Curtis is abstaining. And so the motion carries. That takes us to the end of our agenda, and we will adjourn at 10:42.